Welcome back, it's Necromonday, and today we've got some sort of large biomechanical worm thing that likes to eat people, which would be a weird thing to say if you didn't already know that Necromunda is full of all sorts of weirdness, and this, whilst horrific, still isn't the weirdest thing they've done. It's getting up there. It's not far below, like, the top list, but it's pretty cool. So this is the Servant of the Silent Ones. And you see what they did here? Look at this, right? Ready to worm its way into your house. It's because it looks like that, because it looks like a worm. I actually quite like it. It's quite a good joke. So, House Delac is the most mysterious and secretive of the gang houses, and anyone asking about their origins will struggle to get a straight answer. All we know is they like wearing big coats, they all look almost exactly the same, and they're creepy AF. That's what we know about them. It doesn't help that agents of the House of Shadow are often accompanied by some of the most terrifyingly alien beasts in the Underhive. Take the Servant of the Silent Ones, an esoteric, part mechanical, part organic entity that lends plenty of credence to the weirdness and the tall tales. Once again, as is our wont, instead of looking at it here, we're going to switch over to here so we can actually see it a bit better. Look how big that picture is. Wouldn't it be nice to just be able to see this sort of like natively? This is the the Servant of the Silent Ones. What is happening here, gang? What is going on here? I swear, they literally just get people in to do Necromunda stuff by saying, do you have a weird and creepy idea that you want to get out of your brain? Well, we have the setting for you. Come over here, sit down, have a seat, have some therapy, and let's get modelling and see what we come up with. So, it's not just the fact that it looks like some sort of, like, actual organic snake worm. I don't even know really what to class it as. But even the organic bits are really messed up. I mean, if it was just a weird long worm with teeth, or giant worm with teeth, I'm not going to say I can get on board with a giant worm with teeth, but that's just like, it's not the most horrific concept in the world. In fact, if anything, we've seen it done before. This, it's all got like boils and pustules, and it's all bloated and weirdly squished in amongst parts of the armour that it's got, which just make it so much more horrible. And the fact that the very tail end of it is like mechadendrites and stuff and cables, it doesn't even taper off naturally. In fact, it looks like it kind of extends quite a bit back from what it looks like there. We need the full spinny, don't we? We need the full spinny to get the full detail, the full horror of the worm, but for now, it's really gross. It's really grim. As so often happens with these things, I don't like how gross it is, but at the same time, that's why I like it so much. It's just really quite horrible to look at. Also, House Delac have got this thing with like belts with buckles, like straps with buckles for keeping stuff on, and even the worm's got that. Even the worm has got sections of armour held on with that stuff. Plus, there's things like, okay, so the worm's in like a sort of S shape. If we look at the middle of the S shape, it looks like skin is folded over. Like it's like the straps are going into the skin and keeping it folded somehow. Overall, I think this is a really solid miniature, although it is a little bit, weirdly, it's kind of plain. Even though it's not plain, it's quite complicated, there's quite a lot going on, but concept-wise, it's fairly kind of, I don't know, it maybe standard is a harsh word, but I feel like there's plenty of, people eating worms out there. From one franchise to another, here and there, it crops up. It's not like a never-before-seen concept, I think what makes the difference is how well it's executed. I think, for me, this is executed pretty well. It does hit the right sort of notes for a little bit of, like, creepy body horror-y stuff. The arm sticking out of the mouth does a lot to sell it because, that implies that the rest of the person is in there somewhere, which is not something you really want to be seeing. I do like the armour. The armour is quite fun. The fact that it's both segmented and in a way not, because you've got these big gaps between different sections, it kind of makes it very unclear as to how much of the worm is just armour plated and how much of the worm is actually just like mechanical parts. I like that it's blurring the line there. That's quite a cool little feature of this model. The pose feels very appropriate, but it does also kind of feel like it would not be able to stand up like that. But then again, is that a bad thing, or does that just make it more nightmarish? Like, if it looks like it's not obeying the laws of physics, like its body should not be able to do that, Does that just make it more horrifying? I think it probably does, to be fair. I think it actually does make it just that little bit worse to look at. It's like, not only is it grim and awful and weirdly covered in like boils and sores, not only has it got a bunch of armour wrapped around it, but it also is way too strong. It's way too strong. It should not be able to do that. And yet, that's exactly what it's doing. And that's like horrible to think about, in a cool way. So the reason it looks so horrible is because it's a fusion of plasteel and genetic scraps. Like, what does that mean? Genetic scraps of what? What are the scraps from, specifically? That's what I want to know. Are they just a bunch of big worms kind of lying around? Or are they taking, like, is it made up of a bunch of people's torsos? Or some... Oh, that would be way worse. That would actually be way worse. We're going to go with that. That's the new headcanon. It's made of people's torsos. Sure, why not? I was about to make some sort of human centipede reference, but I'm not going to. The congregation of Delac leaders, inextricably drawn together by the impressive and noble will of the psycho Terrica. Oh, they're crafted to match the subterranean images dreamt by the Star Chamber. The congregation of Delac lead... Oh my god. What the hell? They are crafted to match the subterranean images dreamt by the Star Chamber. Yet again, it's not just the sculpture who needs therapy, also the Star Chamber could do with a bit of that as well by the sounds of it, because they are dreaming of giant mechano worms that eat people. Same, honestly. Unlike the tentacled Piscean spectres, the servants are not brutish to be unleashed, instead they are fully self-sufficient. Okay, cool. A cultured cranial soup is poured into their cortex. Delicious. Linking them through memories of the Silent Ones and their Piscean heritage. This is all doubtless very interesting information linked to the vast hidden history of Necromunda, but it's sadly utterly lost on the terrified gangers who stare down whirring maws which can munch bulkheads as easily as bodies. That's a hell of a lot of like extra steps they've put into creating the weird mechano flesh worm, but I'm all on board. That art is badass, and I think I might prefer the art to the actual model, I'm sad to say. Because that's just very, very good. That's just very, very good art. It's a bit more sleek, it's a bit more segmented, it's a bit... I don't know. What do we reckon? Quick comparison? I mean, that does look good, but... Oh, you know what? I think I actually prefer the art version. Oh, no. Oh, well, horses for courses, all that. Worms for... I can't think of a good rhyme. I'm going to stop that alteration of that analogy now. Their armoured bodies are surprisingly malleable, contorting quickly to tower over an Ogren for 1 minute before swiftly flattening to slip through ducts. Yeah, but the armour isn't going to be... I mean, is the armour squishable? Do they have squishable armour as well? Is that what they've got? Does the armour sort of like flatten down and then go back to being round and carapace-like? Or... Because the idea of them being all like slippery is fine. If they can get through little cracks because they can go all like octopus-like, that's cool. But they're also covered in big chunks of armour. How does that work with the armour? I suspect we're not going to get an answer to that. And sometimes these things are better left unexplored. Let me know what you think of that particular freak of nature / mechanical wonder in the comments down below. Going to be streaming later, so tune in for that. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you for the next one.